Hey friends, do you want to up-level your relationships? I've got 4 advanced player moves for you to do just that. All right, number 1, inspect what you and others reflect. The beauty of relationships is that truly the other is a mirror of you. And so if you spot it, you got it. And what I mean by that is that in order to grow and evolve, we have to be able to continually refresh the lens by which we look at ourselves. And although relationships at times bring out the best in us, as we all know, they can also bring out the worst in us. But it's through the seeing of ourselves from the full spectrum of the things we love and the things that we know that we have growth and ability to improve and learn better plays. That's actually how we actually grow and learn to evolve within our relationships. So the advanced player move within this is look at the things that you really admire and respect in others and know that that's within you too. So if there are aspects that you notice you're feeling jealous about or you see in other people and you say, I wish I was like that, look a little deeper because most likely that is within you. And what it might need is more expression, more courage to let that part out. The second, or the other side of that, is look at what triggers you in other people. And look under the hood. Look at where that could be possibly a place in which you're not willing to look at an aspect of yourself that maybe needs a little bit of extra attention, or perhaps there's an area in which you're not being honest with yourself. I give an example of if you've got a partner that doesn't meet your needs, oftentimes that's a neglected inner part of ourself that needs our TLC. Or maybe you have a coworker that you think is always demeaning in the way they talk about you. Is there an inner critic within you that needs to be explored, that you're giving your power to, that allows you to be impacted and influenced by this person in that way? So advanced player move 1, inspect and what you and the other reflect, and try those moves out by looking at the mirror. Look at seeing those other people in your life as ways in which you can see yourself more clearly. All right, number 2. I'm calling this one, all external issues are solved by internal solutions. What I mean by that is oftentimes in relationships, we really want the other person to change. We want the situation to be different in order for us to feel at peace. When the advanced player move is if we want something in a relationship to shift, we got to look in the mirror. We're the ones that have to change first. That's not to forego any responsibility on the other person to show up in healthy and responsible ways. But oftentimes we are in our own sense replaying old habits and patterns that we learned in our childhood that simply aren't working for us. And instead of feeling victim and kind of claiming that role of this person's doing this to me, or why does this not change, we can take ownership and empowerment and look at new ways to relate to the situation. It can really easily start with how we're even looking at the problems. I don't know how many times it's really served me to not see something as a problem, to look at it more or less as an opportunity for me to learn different ways to relate to the same situation. Have you ever thought you've dated the same person many, many times? Because those themes keep coming up for us. And oftentimes, if we really want a different mirror to come up, what we have to do is change internally. And what's amazing is when we shift, the other person has to shift because the relationship in its basis has shifted. All right, number 3, choose your assumptions, choose your experiences. So oftentimes, right, we take personally the actions of other people. We think, oh, they said this to hurt me, or we really see something and we're like, he was out to get me, or we take it, whatever the story is that we create around it, we make assumptions. And you've probably heard the expression, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. And that's because really when we assume, we're taking information and we're filtering it through our past. We're filtering it through probably past hurts. So the advanced player move for this that I love is to take the most generous interpretation. What that means is that most likely the other person is not meaning to hurt you. Very rarely do we intentionally want to cause harm to others. Now, yes, do sometimes our actions cause harm to other people, and do sometimes maybe our intention and our impact aren't the same, but rarely do people intend that. And the problem when we make assumptions is we become very defensive. And so it's really hard to find middle ground or to see new perspectives when we're really hard fast into our belief that we're needing to be protected. So to really switch the nervous system into a more open and spacious way of viewing the situation, the most fastest way that we can do that is to assume that the other person's just like you. They want to be loved, they want to be accepted, and what if they're doing the best they can with what they have, and they have their own set of outplayed ways of showing up in relationship. And the more we can soften into that and see the other as a reflection of us, and again, you're another me, then sometimes we can depersonalize and de-energize. This works really super in conflict. So where can you take, the advanced player move is where can you take that different perspective and make that assumption that it's not personal. It's just sometimes we're not syncing up with others. All right, number 4, know when to clean the mirror. And what I mean by that is that yes, relationships are places in which we grow and we need them. And oftentimes they're not going to be perfect. Actually, I haven't had a relationship that's perfect or that will meet all of my needs, right? Because they are ways in which we learn compromise and growth and we learn more about ourselves. But so there's that edge of evolution and growth. And then there's when we've played the relationship out too long, when we've stayed too long, when we're afraid to move. And sometimes relationships are like bus stops, right? They're not meant to be a long-term journey. And that's hard, right? Like, let's be honest. I've definitely had relationships in which I've overstayed my welcome or they've overstayed their welcome, however you want to look at it. But the truth is that we have to be honest because there is that edge of growth and then there is that fine line when it becomes a difference in life enhancing because we're growing and changing, and when it becomes that it affects our life adversely. And the way I've kind of known that is that I feel stuck and I start to see myself kind of spiraling into those kind of habits that kind of keep me in this wounding, right? So if there's a kind of a storyline I'm playing out from a wounded place, and this relationship keeps me in that place, right? I'll eventually feel stuck and I won't actually keep growing. I'll actually start to decline. And then we kind of know that it's time to wipe the mirror. It's time to move on. And here's the advanced player move with that. We recognize that, and we don't do so from a begrudging sense of we got cheated or this person screwed us over or look how we're the victim, but we do it in grace and love and respect, because for me, some of my greatest teachers have been relationships that ended, that were challenging, that caused a lot of heartache, but I grew tremendously from them. And the only way to receive that wisdom is if we can see those relationships as wise teachers, but realize sometimes we've gotten the transmission and the learning and the teaching, and it's time to move on and to accept the lesson, to accept the relationship for what it is, and to release it so that it can actually be what it's meant to be. And sometimes those relationships are just ways in which we heal and grow, and they're not to be long-standing. And again, easier said than done. I've been there. But that is how we continue to use these relationships and allow ourselves to be refreshed by our relationships, to be renewed, to grow, and to amplify our experiences in them so that we become more of who we are through relationships, not less. So I hope those 4 advanced player moves really serve you. I feel as though I've gotten a PhD in relationships through my own experiences of having really amazing relationships and also having relationships that really touched my heart deeply. And the cool thing about relationships is the more we open to what they allow us to receive, the more we can be in our heart space with them. We can see ourselves in others. We can see that we all want the same things, truly. We just go about them differently. So good luck with these advanced player moves. And I wonder how you'll find these serve you in this next phase of your unfolding. Let me know. Like this video, share it. Let me know which of those tips resonated with you most. Blessings, friends.